Thank you very much. I first want to start by thanking the Hall of Fame committee. The amount of work and lengths that they go to put on one of these things is amazing. From having to deal with COVID and having, all 8 inductees putting things off for a year. It's pretty amazing, the stuff that they do for you. It started when they brought us in. I came downstairs into the VIP room where I met Hank Lodge and reacquainted with Todd and John. And then I started to think maybe the first qualification was that you just had to be bald to be inducted this year. And then thankfully Karen and Stacy and Kathy showed up and Dr. Jobs, and my theory was shot. So from the day I got the nomination letter in the mail, I started to reminisce about the start of it all when my dad took me to sign up for McCabe Waters Little League about 50 years ago. Followed by another 15 years of my mom and dad's dedication to transportation, late night meals, travel, and just being there when they could as I worked my way through the ranks from Little League to college. Thought about the hours in the backyards of my adjacent neighbors, Bobby and Ray Wilson and Peter Brown and Jimmy Bates, and playing wiffle ball and basketball until the streetlights came on. I was lucky enough to have been coached by some of the Bristol legends, and I really want to acknowledge all of them that helped me to make the person I am today through different coaching styles, motivations, and personalities. It started with McCabe Waters Little League, with the Red Sox, with coaches Leone, Ginnerty, and Belanger. Being lucky enough to win the league championship and move on to the City Series when I was 9 years old. Getting no hits my first season in Little League until I made it to the City Series where we played the Edgewood Orioles for the first game. And I had a blistering liner to right that stopped on the outfield grass as soon as it got there for my first hit. And then being known as Jimmy One Hit for the rest of the winter until the spring started again. That same year, we faced the Forestville Dodger dynasty and Coach Watson, and what looked to me like a 7-foot-tall Dean Pasavich on the mound, thinking, please don't make me bat against him. I was cut from the All-Star team at 11, and then I spent the next month following my future teammates Joey Jandro and Reinhard Walker. Pretty boy, where are you? Cruise their way to the Little League World Series in Williamsport. My foundation was set at that point. I loved baseball. The next couple of summers were spent in the Scott and Monahan leagues with Coach Grossman and Krampitz and Kilby, where my run of 6 straight seasons with my favorite all-time teammate, Pretty Boy, started. Where is he? There he is. On to high school with Coach Moylan and McCooey. Unfortunately, my high school career was marred by the loss of my best friend and co-captain, Gary. Taught me early on that life was a steep grade. But out of that grew a lifelong friendship with the Buchanan family, and especially his brother Darryl, who's here today. Still to this day reminds me that 40 years ago he broke up Rod Dibble's no-hitter in the 9th inning at Southington High School. Tommy Burns, American Legion, played for 3 years, had the most fun ever playing baseball. But that almost didn't happen. When I was 16, I thought that a job was more important than baseball. Till Coach Kilby drove down to Lake Compounds where I was washing dishes one May afternoon and told me that the Legion team had lost a catcher. He was trying to convince me to come play. Didn't take much convincing. I hated washing dishes. Still do. But without Coach Kilby's intervention, I may not be standing here today. On to Eastern Connecticut and Coach Holowati, like Mr. Monahan said, making it to the regional finals and then finally to the World Series. And I feel like I had a great baseball career. I'm proud to be the 3rd member of the class of 1982 from Bristol Central High School, following the footsteps of Callie Granger and John Benzinger. I want to thank Spec Monaco. I didn't see him. I don't know if he's here, but Spec gave me my first coaching job at Lewis Mills. And I want to thank Frank Oshenko. He convinced me to go to Eastern Connecticut after JV baseball was cut from the budget my freshman year in North Carolina. A lot of great things happened to me over the course of my life. Number one, being the birth of my son, Ben. Ben was a lefty early on in life, and always long and lanky. A good friend of mine, Bill Decker, who I had been coaching with at Trinity College, had just gotten the head coaching position at Harvard shortly after Ben was born. And I had great plans for my 6'2" fireballing pitcher and all the trips to Cambridge, Mass. Before his first birthday. Unfortunately, although he's a very good athlete and a great soccer player, most of all an outstanding student, I couldn't pass on my passion for baseball. I still haven't given up on the Ivy League, though. To Liz, my second grade crush, who I was lucky enough to reconnect with after 20-something years of starting our separate families, for helping me get my life back in order after a personal tragedy and making a great life together. It's important in a partner to have the same values and principles and to also agree on the same thermostat settings. To my friends and family at table 11 and 14, thank you for being an important part of my life. In closing, I want to share a short story with you for the first time publicly. With all the negative in the world, I wanted to share one of the greatest positives in my life. My close friends and family know the story, but I was sworn to secrecy because the person this involved was a very public figure and concerned that his intentions and motives get misjudged. I think the statute of limitations is over now. Regarding those steep grades in life, 15 years ago when my son was 11 months old, my wife had a cardiac arrest during a soccer game and was in a coma in ICU for a month. I spent an enormous amount of time in the hospital playing the waiting game. One of those weekends happened to be the US Open, where my favorite golfer was in contention down to the last hole, where he had a 2-shot lead. He blew it, and I could feel his devastation. So totally out of character for me, I sat there and I wrote a letter to him, telling him basically that life comes at you fast. What a career you've built playing a game that millions of people love, and wanted to give him a brief summary of my current situation. I had no idea how to get the letter to him, and I sat on it for 6 or 7 months when I thought, why don't I just send it to Augusta? He'll definitely be there. He's a defending champ. So, unsure if he would get it, I asked simply for acknowledging that he did indeed get it. Late that summer, I came home from work to find an attempted delivery ticket on my door. Not expecting anything and forgetting about the letter at that point, I made arrangements to be home to make sure I signed for it the next day. I opened up a FedEx letter the next day and I found 3 things. A letter that said, I was so inspired by your story that I had to respond with a whole dialogue of things that I hold close to my heart. Second thing is a very large check with a note that says, please use this to start a college fund for Ben. And the third thing was a whole flag from Augusta that was signed to Ben from one lefty to another, Phil Mickelson. There's a lot of good out there in the world. Cherish every minute.